Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology. In this video, we are back in conversation with Dr. V Subba Rao. Of late, he has been very busy with his PhD work once again, and in spite of his busy schedules, he has consented to do one more video with us, and we are all eager to hear from him. And in this video, as you all know, this is series 3 and part 2. And we'll be handing over the proceedings now to Dr. V Subba Rao. Thank you, sir, for having joined us.
Awesome. So, hello viewers. Today we will be having two parts in the Nuances of Series 3, Nuances of Astrology. The first one, part 2, is about tropical astrology for chronology of events, that is the historical events, both in literature as well as about the countries.
Okay.
As we all know, in the two charts, that two types of zodiac we have, the sidereal and the tropical. The advantage with the tropical zodiac is mostly for chronological purposes. Chronological purposes because we know that the celestial sphere revolves at the rate of 1 degree for every 72 years. So this will help us to know where exactly the vernal equinox opposite a particular star and the number of stars it passes over a period of time. So many 72 multiples will be the time for us to know the chronology of events. Therefore, the fixed stars in tropical zodiac will naturally decipher the different stars against opposite of which the vernal equinox comes in and departs from there. At the rate of 72 years for every degree, we can convert the angular motion into linear motion and then arrive at the chronological events. So that is how we normally know the whole historical significance of the events that take place both in literature as well as in history. Here in this particular video, we will also come to know the exact value of the Ayanamsa. What exactly is the Ayanamsa is a very great doubt in the minds of many viewers. Ayanamsa is the actual distance between the fixed star Ashwini and that of the moving vernal equinoctial point. So in 285 AD, Bhaskaracharya, the second of the 11th century, has actually coined, calculated and then arrived at the exact position of vernal equinox coinciding with Ashwini. So that was in 285 AD. Kindly remember this. In 285 AD, there is no difference between sidereal chart and tropical zodiac. The two zodiacs have actually come and combined near Ashwini 0 degrees, in Mesha Rashi 0 degrees, and therefore the horoscopes at that time are both Sayana and Nirayana. There is no difference because the Ayanamsa is 0. So since then, 285 AD onwards, the vernal equinox point has been continuously moving retrograde at the rate of 72 years, 1 degree, 72 years. And therefore, today we have accumulated nearly the vernal equinox having started at Ashwini. Now we can find the vernal equinox in the Uttara Bhadrapada last quarter. Last quarter in the retrograde direction. Therefore, Revati 4 padas are over and Uttara Bhadrapada 3 padas are over and it is in the 4th pada. Therefore, 7 padas are completed. You know it is each pada is 330 degrees. And therefore, 7 padas so much. And again, something more in the 4th pada. Therefore, the whole Ayanamsa exactly as on date is 24 degrees, 7 minutes. Or shortly, 24.1 degrees, we can say. So at the rate of 72 years for every degree of movement of this celestial equator, that is the precession of equinoxes, we can find out during what particular nakshatra a particular event has taken place. And from there onwards, at the rate of the nakshatra that points out at the various historical and literary events that have taken place, we can come to the conclusion of the chronology of events. Now I shall switch over to the PowerPoint presentation. So the chronology of events through vernal equinoctial point, pointing the 27 fixed stars. Here we have got the sidereal zodiac, that is the white one, and we have got the nakshatras in the form of 1, 2, 3, 4 padas for each nakshatra. And I have put in the pointer here, the vernal equinoctial pointer. So in 3555 BC, I am starting from 3555 BC. That is when the vernal equinoctial point was near Mrigashira star. So Rigveda was written at that time. In 3555 BC, the first written part of Vedas is the Rigveda. Until then, Vedas were actually recited and passed on from generation to generation, only from verbally, mouth from to the ear, and not written. So the first Veda that was written was in 3555 BC, that is Rigveda, that is when vernal equinox was opposite Mrigashira star. Slowly at the rate of 1 degree for every 72 years, the vernal equinox began to move, and finally it is opposite Rohini. When Mahabharata war in 595 BC, Mahabharata war took place. And again it continued to move. Then it was the Kritika Nakshatra, that is the Vedanga Jyotisha period was Kritika Nakshatra, when actually this Vedanga Jyotish has come into being and recognized. That is in the end of Dwapara Yuga and the beginning of Kali Yuga. So that's why it is immediately after Mahabharata war and before the beginning of the Kali Yuga. So it was Kritika. So Kritika was characterized by the performance of sacrifices like fire, sacred fires and all that. So all the spiritual and other rituals are actually taking place when the fire is important, and therefore fire is considered to be a Kritika, and that Kritika is allotted to Ravi. So in Vimsottara Dasha, Kritika means Ravi.
Wow.
That's how it goes.
That's very interesting.
It's only accidental. Let me put it. Ravi Dasha for Kritika is only accidental.
One more thing, sir. When you said Mahabharata,
at that time,
when you said Mahabharata, I noticed that you were saying that it was in Rohini. So I was just remembering, Sri Krishna's nakshatra also was Rohini.
Yes.
So many coincidences.
And thereafter, in this Yajurveda Vedanga Jyotisha period, we find that Kritika was the first asterism, vernal equinox. And at that time, we find there is a reference in Manimekhalai of Tamil literature of 7th century, wherein it is mentioned that Magha is the 8th star. Magha could be the 8th star only when Kritika was the first star.
Oh, that's a nice point.
So in Manimekhalai, it is mentioned clearly that Magha was the nakshatra, the 8th nakshatra. So only starting from Kritika as the first, Magha could be the 8th. Similarly, it was also mentioned in the same text that Buddha's birth was in the Vishakha, the middle nakshatra. Buddha was born in Vishakha, and that Vishakha nakshatra is the middle one, they say. Here. That is the 14th one, middle one. Correct. It could be 14th and the middle one of the 27, only when Kritika was the first. So there is a great evidence that Kritika was the first asterism during Vedanga Jyotisha period. Slowly, that moved fast to Ashwini. There was no reference to Bharani at all. There is no chronological event, and it could not be considered at all because Mahabharata war was over and it was considered immediately Kritika was the nakshatra. Thereafter, there was greater lull in the whole period of astrology. And so it moved to Ashwini. That is Ashwini first quarter. So when Varaha era exploded, that Dakshinayana occurred in that Punarvasu last nakshatra, and therefore at right angle straight is Ashwini first pada. That first pada means it is about 3 1/3 degrees. So people are hearing about different dynamics varying in magnitude of 3 1/3 degrees. So the maximum and minimum. Of course, there are 1 or 2 which are even more than 1 pada nakshatra, thereby giving serious error in Navamsha. So then in 285, this was in 520 AD. Varaha era was in 520 AD. Slowly it moved to that point, and in 285 AD it was 2 zodiacs connected, coincided. Bhaskara 2 of the 11th century in Siddhanta Shiromani, that book he had mentioned that it was actually coinciding. Immediately in the first Ashwini first part to Ashwini it moved in 285 AD. AD means from 524 AD it moves towards 285 AD. And so 285 AD it has come here, and from there it moved to 2020. Presently, it is here. Vernal equinox is exactly in the Uttara Bhadrapada. That is in the, from this side it is the first pada, but from the retrograde it is the 4th pada of the Uttara Bhadrapada. It is the 4th pada in the Uttara Bhadrapada from in the retrograde direction. So this Revati 4 padas are over, and it is in the 4th pada of the Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra, and therefore in 285 they were coincident, and today in 2020 it has come to 24 degrees, 24.1 degrees or 24 degrees 7 minutes exactly as on date. And it slowly moves to the completion of Uttara Bhadrapada and enters into Purva Bhadrapada area in 2445. That means that Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra will be over. It will be coming to the area of Purva Bhadrapada. From this side, it is the beginning of the Purva Bhadrapada in the retrograde. When in 2445, we find it is 30 degrees complete, equivalent to one complete Rashi. Therefore, all the planets posted in tropical zodiac will be one house or one sign, one house ahead of the planets found in sidereal chart. In 2445, we can see major change in the astrological charts of sidereal chart and also the tropical chart, because they will be differing by about 30 degrees one sign completely. So this is the way that fixed stars are used for chronology. In 3015 AD, Purva Bhadrapada ends. So it has ended for Uttara Bhadrapada and completed 30 degrees, and finally in Purva Bhadrapada it is 3105 AD we can complete Purva Bhadrapada. So this is how it moves. It goes on moving and again comes back to Ashwini. What is the exact value of Ainamsha? At the rate of 1 degree for every 72 years, in 285 AD it was coincident with Ashwini, and therefore in 285 AD 0 degrees, Ainamsha. So tropical zodiac Mesh Rashi and sidereal zodiac Mesh Rashi were together, same thing in 285 AD. And after some time, it moved to the present day, Uttara Bhadrapada 4th quarter in the retrograde direction. In 2020, the value of Ainamsha is 24.1 degree. And slowly it moves to the completion of Uttara Bhadrapada and then entering into Purva Bhadrapada by 2445. And another thing is, if these two zodiacs are different, then how is it that astronomical and the ordinary and the extraordinary astronomical phenomenon like the full moon and the new moon could occur exactly according to our calendar or the almanac? So this is the fundamental question. How is it that Paurnami and Amavasya do occur exactly on the same days by both the methods? So by sidereal method, a Paurnami day is similarly is like this. Sun here in the Aries and full moon in Libra. I am only taking an example. They are 180 degrees apart, and so it's a full moon. In sidereal chart, let us imagine, say that the Sun occupies Aries and Moon occupies Libra, 180 degrees opposite, it's a full moon, according to sidereal chart. Let me put it in the sidereal position. When the Sun moves to this point, because in tropical position it becomes ions added to it. 24.1 added, it will move to the next sign. And here also it moves to the next sign. Even then they are 180 degrees. So the ordinary, the extraordinary astronomical phenomenon satisfy the almanac. So all these things have added to the confusion of the existing astrologers.
That's a very interesting point, sir.
So that's the end of part 2. Now we shall move to part 3. Here about the birth time. What constitutes the birth time? However much accurate we may take up the horoscopic calculation and all that, it all depends on the starting point of this birth time. If there is an error in birth time, it is carried on continuously in all the calculations. Therefore, what constitutes the birth time? And what are the Unsotar Dashas and all that? So we can see here, there are so many theories about the birth time. When the child's head is sighted first. That is the first one originally in literature. Child out of the mother's womb, totally. The third one is when the umbilical cord is cut. That is, making the child independent from the mother. There seems to be some logic in that. And the fourth one is the first cry of the child. This first cry of the child is the criterion for the child having come to life is one thing. And also it is medically admissible. There's a test for the child having come to life. So what does the Apgar score mean in medical terminology? So when a child is born, immediately there is a chart, the nurses will come with the chart and then do it within 1 minute. All these readings they take and then again analyze it. So how is the appearance of the child? Whether it is blue or pale or anemic or any such thing, or appearing to be a stillborn child. Pulse rate. They will see whether the child is alive and the heart is beating. And Greimack, the reflexes. Because they will just prick and then see the reflex. If there is no reflex, means the child is not, is almost stillborn. So activity, they will see the muscle activity. The child is born immediately, it will have to move its limbs. Respiration, breathing effort. If the infant cries well, the respiratory score is 2. For all it is 1, for this it is 2. Therefore the child must cry. If it doesn't cry, it is not a child that has come to life. So the first cry of the child is the incontrovertible moment. At least from now on, we can ask the nurses and anybody attending, doctor attending on for the pregnancy, for the delivery, we can ask them to note the time of course the cry can be heard, cry of the child can be heard and then it should be noted. And the easiest method is, we have got a complicated method in the sidereal system. Unnecessarily, we are having 3 parameters for arriving at the dasha. You know when the child is born, you note the star. And according to the star, you note the position of the moon. And again, from the moon, instead of directly going to the star, into the dasha, they go on for the moon, for the star again. there is no need. For example, if moon is here opposite Ashwini, we know that it is Ashwini in Nakshatra Dashas, it is Ketu Dasha. With that, you are not going to arrive at Ketu Dasha magnitude. How many years? How many months? How many days? What bhukti? What is the balance of Dasha? So the Dasha, the Nakshatra four padas won't help us to arrive at the actual years, months and days. Therefore, we go back again to the moon for the latitude and longitude of the planet. And for 13 degrees 20 minutes, you have got 7 years Ketu Dasha. So instead of the moon to the star and star to that and again back to the moon and then find out the longitude, go to Dasha, straight away you can go to Dasha from moon. What is the longitude of the moon? And from there straight to the Dasha. For that I have put in a small table, very easy for everybody to understand. Of course, the moon in its traverse, it starts from Ashwini and then comes here to completes Ashwini Aslesha and then moves again from Aslesha to Mola and from Mola to again Ashwini. So thrice over, it gives rise to Vimsottara Dashas of 120 years each. I put this can be used for by both tropical as well as sidereal practitioners. From 0 degrees, this is about the moon's longitude. I am not saying it is from vernal equinox or from East Ashwini. It is the longitude of the moon measured from Ashwini in case of sidereal and from vernal equinox in case of tropical. So from 0 degrees, Aries 13 and 1/3 degrees Ketu Dasha. Again you get from like that, 13 and 1/3 degrees Aries to 26 and 2/3 it is Shukra Dasha. So 26 2/3 to 10 degrees of Taurus, it is Ravi Dasha. Like that it can go, this table can be used by both the practitioners, as tropical as well as sidereal. There is no need for searching for the nakshatra and then again convert to Dasha. This table will be useful. We want only the position of the moon. Position of the moon, in which sign, how many degrees, and to which sign we have to actually go. The Dasha is actually deciphered here. It is the easiest way of finding out the Dasha. In the previous one, the incontrovertible moment of the birth of the child. If the child has not actually cried at that moment, stillborn children, however much time it may take, still the cutting of the bilingual cord or the umbilical cord may be noted. Besides the first cry of the child, even though the cry of the child may be a little longer. So both the birth times can be taken into consideration and chart arrived and calculated upon so that we can fix up actually the correct birth time. So there is no need to actually correct the birth time in the very beginning itself. We can have it as a tentative one and finally arrive at the correct one with experience. That is called rectification of birth time. That we will deal it later. So with this we come to both the topics, part 2 and part 3 of series 3.
I have a doubt. When you said 285, is it the same as Lahari Ainamsha? For the sake of viewers, I am asking this question.
Sir?
Is it the same as Lahari Ainamsha? Because 285 AD is tallying with Lahari Ainamsha.
Whosoever has taken 285 AD, they will get the value of 24.1.
Exactly, sir. This is tallying with Lahari Ainamsha, which I think is most...
B.V. Raman has Varna Ainamsha.
Yeah, he has shifted it.
Ainamsha.
Yes, sir. But whatever you said, 285, actually tallies with Lahari Ainamsha, the NC Lahari. where, the Indian government a long time back, they had a meeting, and they decided to choose the 285 as the coinciding
Yes.
year. And in spite of that, in India, we have lots of doubts about these things. That's something, it's regularly being discussed, what anams are, which anams are, etc. Anyway, that was a wonderful,
The
again
funny
and
part
again.
of it is there was a meeting conducted by the government of India
Yes, sir.
of all the astrologers and some astronomers also, because it
Yes.
was mostly attended by astrologers, not
Okay.
many astronomers.
I see.
With the result that the Siddhanta Panchanga and the Trighanata Panchanga, these people have said that each man tried to convince the other that each is right and the other is wrong. Finally, they have not arrived at any conclusion as to correct answer. Finally, they said that let us take the maximum and minimum and arrive at the mean.
Okay.
The
Okay.
average. And so
Okay.
again, in Rashtriya Panchangam, we find the Ainam says the mean of the maximum and the minimum.
Okay, sir. I think on our YouTube channel, someone had asked, at this rate, slowly summer and winter positions also will change. That we'll have summer in winter time and winter in summer time because of the shift of the vernal equinox. So that question, I think we can attend to later on. In the maybe in subsequent sessions, we can attend to that.
Sure.
So thank you so much, sir, for being with us.
Very kind of you, sir.
So what will be our next topic, sir?
The next topic, I have not just taken up.
Okay, you're not decided that. Okay,
I
okay.
will
Take
let
your
you on
time,
that
sir.
day.
I know you're very busy with the PhD work, so I mean, advance congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so nice, sir. We are very happy.
Thank you.
We have come to the end of this video. In case you have any doubts, please type them out in the comment section, and whenever I find the time, I'll answer them for you. And see you soon in my next video.